From censored files to clear evidence, this is Redacted Realms.
The unexpected scripture reveals the shocking truth about the Vietnam War that astonished the world. 1 year ago, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger passed away at the age of 100. From a university professor, he became a diplomat and an architect of grand stature, and one of the most powerful officials in American history. He was the only person who can currently hold the positions of National Security Advisor and U.S. Secretary of State. His name is closely associated with pragmatic foreign policy which helped reduce international tensions and achieve the most important agreements between the Soviet Union and the U.S. in enhancing global security. But for us Vietnamese, the main role we remember him for is still his negotiation to end the Vietnam War through the Paris Peace Accords process, restoring peace in Vietnam in 1970. However, in a statement to the international press, he once made a remark that made the world view Vietnam differently, especially regarding the brilliant leader of the historic Paris negotiations. This is living proof of the masterful diplomacy of Le Duc Tho, which made even the seasoned American diplomat, a figure of global stature, tip his hat. Let's explore the truth behind Henry Kissinger. Few Vietnamese people don't know Henry Kissinger because he was the special U.S. advisor. At the Paris Conference on Restoring Peace in Vietnam, a figure who frequently dialogued with Le Duc Tho, Politburo member of the Communist Party of Vietnam, appointed a special advisor to the Vietnamese government delegation at the four-party conference in Paris since 1968. He was a rare figure with immense power, considered a national treasure for simultaneously holding two important positions across two U.S. presidential administrations, Nixon and Ford, as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. His life witnessed many events and contributions to American diplomacy, so every incoming president sought his consultation on issues between the U.S. and countries worldwide. Particularly regarding Vietnam, Henry Kissinger has special emotions facing the Vietnamese diplomat's competence. Henry Kissinger had to admit that Le Duc Tho wasn't formally trained in diplomacy but was a seasoned diplomat, very firm and persistent with his goals, capable of reading the opponent's thoughts, meaning understanding what the opponent intended to say and their motives, so Le Duc Tho's diplomatic approach was to proactively counterattack. But combining both principled issues and flexibility in diplomatic struggle. The American diplomat deeply respected Le Duc Tho, using the phrase, "Le Duc Tho scolded me a lot." He creatively applied strategies, always maintaining the offensive initiative, forcing the opponent to negotiate on his terms. Le Duc Tho was so alert that he always detected and refuted the issues Henry Kissinger embedded in the dialogue. He only accepted issues beneficial to Vietnam, thus Kissinger's policy of prolonging the Vietnam War. To negotiate a U.S. honorable withdrawal wasted 4 years of peace from 1969 to 1973. Ultimately, the U.S. still had to accept negotiation terms similar to those in 1960, resulting in nearly 3 million Vietnamese sacrifices and 58,000 American soldiers. Notably, although aware of the intention to completely withdraw from Vietnam, in his calculations, Kissinger still advocated maintaining U.S. influence here with the intention that Vietnam would best remain divided or, if unified, pro-U.S. forces would still have roles in the government. Kissinger never accepted complete defeat, but these calculations of his won't completely fail. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Professor Joseph Nye wrote in his analysis of Kissinger's legacy, if Kissinger had gradually followed the advice of U.S. senators like William Fulbright, George Aiken and others to early accept that Saigon would also face defeat, it would have been a courageous move. Kissinger and Nixon showed they were capable of such moves with China. However, in Vietnam they did not. Instead, their choice didn't change the final outcome, and caused losses in lives and U.S. prestige. In summary, Kissinger represented American interventionism and investigations into countries that caused deadly wars in many nations and regions. Although he was honored as the negotiator who ended the war, in reality, the exact American-style calculations he advocated caused and prolonged the Vietnam War. serving as a classic example. 1. In a 2018 conversation at his private residence with former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and U.S. President Donald Trump. 2. The former secretary made quite surprising remarks about it. 3. For Americans specifically and the world in general, the Vietnamese people are a special nation. 4. They are a small, poor nation but with a history of fighting against foreign invasion. 5. That no other nation in the world has ever experienced. 6. Resilient, indomitable, intelligent, enduring, hardworking, courageous, heroic, humane, and kind-hearted are all qualities of this nation. 7. Therefore, if America today and in the future needs advice on diplomatic relations with Vietnam, the following important points should be considered. 8. That is, do not entangle the Vietnamese people in any schemes, as they maintain high vigilance towards major countries. 9. They fear that getting close will lead to being drawn in, bribed, affected. 10. Like China right next door, but throughout the war with America, they still guarded against all of China's actions. 11. Later, the events in Cambodia in 1978 and the northern border in 1979 did not catch them off guard unexpectedly. 12. Particularly, do not create hostile resentment towards them, because as we know, there were times during the war in Bush. 13. When it seemed this nation was isolated, abandoned, but their will and resilience never ran dry. 14. If other nations had been under nearly 1,000 years of northern domination like the Vietnamese. 15. They would certainly have been erased from the map long ago, but with 16. They still preserved their national cultural identity and never forgot the mission to regain independence. 17. Therefore, viewing them as an enemy sometimes does not benefit America. 18. With this nation, America should respect their right to self-determination, build trust and respect. 19. Because Vietnam is a formidable force in Southeast Asia and Asia in the near future. 20. With a position and unique diplomatic approach. 21. Vietnam does not align, ally, or form factions that. 22. As this is a pioneering country in abolishing the colonial regime world. 23. Therefore, for many countries, Vietnam remains a model of liberation and. 24. Thus, America should not get close to entangle, nor should it pressure, isolate, or resist. 25. But should engage with Vietnam equally, objectively. 26. Certainly, America will have many advantages in the Asian region specifically in. 27. Because this is a special country, a special nation. 28. Therefore, America should also have a special relation. 29. The past is gone, but each time we recall the event of some. 30. And the respectful words of the former U.S. diplomat for Mr. LeDuc Bellow in. 31. We feel more proud and motivated to inherit the courage and wisdom of our ancestors. 32. The Paris Agreement was the combined victory of. 33. Political and diplomatic struggles, the longest agreement. 34. Creating a great echo in public opinion in the world, with the outstanding contribution of. 35. His image flooded the pages of major newspapers in America in the. 36. Time has passed, but the imprint of Special Advisor LeDuc Bellow of the Paris. 37. Remains very vivid. That achievement is a brilliant milestone in the history of Vietnamese diplomacy. 38. Leaving many valuable experiences for Vietnam's current internet. 39. And you, what do you think about the experts' assessment of Vietnam? Visit 40. Subscribe to the Redacted Realms channel and hit the bell to receive the link. #41. Subscribe to the Vietnam Go channel so you don't miss exciting videos.
If this file opened your eyes, subscribe and open the next case.